Hello, friends. Welcome to Hermes Speaks. It's Emily with Emily T. Astrology, and I am your host for this Astro Check-in, Hermes Speaks, where we explore the current quality of time and we listen to Hermes, Mercury, our messenger god of astrology. We listen to Hermes speak through bibliomancy and the written word, through story and conversation. So here we are at the week that astrologers have been talking about for a long time. Mars and Uranus are conjoining in Gemini for the first time in nearly 80 years. This is a big conjunction that promises to be dynamic, exciting, perhaps volatile, unexpected, maybe shocking, maybe violent. We don't know, but it promises to be something. So today we are going to explore this conjunction, Mars and Uranus, very briefly from an archetypal level. And then I've got horoscopes for all signs, along with or paired with a bibliomancy pull for each sign for a little added consultation with the oracle for how this may be showing up for you. Astrologers have been talking about Mars Uranus for months, even years, and mostly we've been talking about it, or we've been hearing about it from a mundane perspective. What's it going to mean for the world at large? Well, with these horoscopes, I'm hoping today to bring it in and make it personal. How might this be showing up in your personal life? But before we get into your horoscopes, let me just share a little something of a personal nature with you about me. I am recording this as Mercury has just stationed retrograde in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is my fifth house of creativity, self-expression, children, and I am going to be taking this period of time while Mercury is retrograde in my fifth house of creativity off from content creation. I'm going to take a little break from social media. I'm going to take a break from YouTube, with the exception I'm recording a few things with some friends and colleagues for their channels, and very excited to do so. But there will be no episodes of Hermes Speaks for the majority of the month of July. I'll be coming back at you on July 29th. I share this for two reasons. The first, of course, is just to let you know, keep you updated, so you're not expecting me to show up here over the next few weeks. And secondly, why do we do this as astrologers? Why are we here creating content? It is in the hopes of providing helpful information, in the hopes of sharing this gift of astrology with you so that you can make use of it to work with the timing, to work with the cosmic tides in the creation and the lived experience of your own lives. And what I am getting with this Mercury retrograde in my fifth house of creativity and self-expression, Mercury itself, the planet that rules my fourth house of home and family, my seventh house of relationships, I have stuff going on in these areas with my kids, at home, literally with my property, my home right now, that needs my tending, needs my care. Not only that, but I am in the midst of needing some time to reflect on the last year of Jupiter in Cancer in my fifth house. And I need some time to regroup, to think about how I want to move forward with this channel, with my sense of self-expression. This is me putting my money where my mouth is, right? I need to take a pause and rethink my creativity. And this is to say, you can too. If you need to take a pause, if you need a break, of course, I'm not saying check out of all of your responsibilities in your life, but it's okay if you need to work with the energies rather than against them. That's why we look at astrology, is so that we can work with them in order to live our best lives, to feel most aligned with the divine timing of the universe, right? That's what we're doing here. I thank you for the grace that you are offering me to do that. I hope you give yourself the grace to do the same in any small way that you can in your life. Okay, so that all said, let's get into the conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and your horoscopes. So this conjunction is coming through on July 3rd or the 4th, depending on your time zone. I'm here on the Pacific West Coast of California. And for me, it is coming through on the 3rd at 11:07 p.m. at 3 degrees and 52 minutes of Gemini, Mars and Uranus. Let's break this down on an archetypal level, and then we'll dive into your horoscopes. Mars, our planet of action, will, drive, passion, aggression, conflict, war, severing. And Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, shakeups, disruption, instability, freedom, liberation, revolution, and genius lightning bolt ideas. Okay, so just right there, these two planets coming together. Well, what could this show up as? Unexpected, violent accidents or war? Sure. Freeing, liberating, passionate, new genius ideas that seem to come out of the blue? For sure. Volatile, erratic, surprising or shocking events or pieces of information coming out? This is possible as well. Now let's add in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, communicative, dispersive, intellectual. It is a mutable sign, which makes it adaptable, flexible, able to hold multivalent or disparate trajectories and ideas. It is a diurnal or yang or masculine sign, which means it is action-oriented, it is fast-paced, it is outwardly moving and expressive, and it is ruled by the planet Mercury, which adds on even more communication, which adds on thought, ideas, the mental faculties, the way we process information, the way we share that information, communicate that information. This is a sign that is curious, witty, fast-paced, sometimes flighty. Its attention can be grabbed multiple places at multiple times. It's multivalent, dispersive. It's a little bit separating in nature or chaotic in nature, this air sign, mutable air quality of this sign. So we add this back into the planetary archetypes of Mars and Uranus coming together, and we have something that is volatile, expressive, dynamic, fast-paced, idea or intellectually oriented. This is why so many astrologers are talking about technologies, AI, perhaps disclosures coming through with this. This is volatile, exciting, dynamic, unexpected, shocking, perhaps freeing, liberating, revolutionizing. We got Mars in there, maybe cutting, severing the unexpected, out of the blue endings of things. There could be violence, there could be explosions, accidents, things no one is expecting, right? That's why astrologers have been talking about these two planets coming together in Gemini on the nation's birthday. 4 months, right? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. But that is mostly looking at this from a mundane perspective. So when we bring it down and into our personal lives with your horoscopes, what might we see just in our daily lives? So let's dive into your horoscopes. I recommend listening to these for your rising sign, but you can certainly listen to it for your sun or even moon sign if that is how you feel you most relate. That's fine, but I am looking at this from a rising sign perspective. Before we begin with your horoscopes, let me share the book that I decided to pull each of your bibliomancy pulls from, and it is Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut. When I was thinking about Mars Uranus, the first author that I thought of was Kurt Vonnegut, and I have several of Kurt Vonnegut's books on my shelf. Admittedly, I don't think I've read any of them, maybe since high school or college, but I love Kurt Vonnegut, and I was looking on my shelf through my books that were Kurt Vonnegut books. The title of this one jumped out at me, and I have to say, I'm not sure I ever actually read this one. If I did, I don't remember it in the same way that I remember Cat's Cradle or Slaughterhouse-Five or Sirens of Titan, these other books. But Timequake felt very like Uranian to me, and Gemini and Uranian to me. So I decided to pull from this book for all of our horoscopes today. So for our Aries out there. Let's start at the beginning. If you are an Aries, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is taking place in your third house. This is a place of your local environment, your neighbors, your neighborhood, your siblings, your beginner's mind or primary education. This is the place of communication, how we speak. This is also a place of divination in the kitchen magic, local environmental omen kind of way, like the crow that you see on your fence post in the morning and you think, uh-oh, what's going to happen today? That's very third house divination, kind of omen divination. All of these things can be happening in the third house. So this might look like an argument or an altercation with a neighbor or a sibling. This might look like something super unexpected. A few years ago, something was happening with Uranus. I can't remember what. I think it was a Mercury-Uranus conjunction in my third house. And I was at the grocery store and suddenly a woman in front of me was holding a bag of coffee beans that like burst open and coffee beans flew everywhere. So it can be something like that, an unexpected shakeup in a local place that you go every day that kind of just shakes you out of your norm for a second. It flips your perspective on its head. Something like that can come up. This is the house of short distance travel, so do be watchful on the road around this time. You might be having, road rage, flat tires, unexpected things happening out there. Be careful of that. Volatility, excitement, dynamic, arguments, unexpected accidents, things like that, all to do with your local environment, your neighbors, your siblings, all of these third house topics. So your pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut to add some oracular guidance for Aries is this. Okay. She was Hungarian. As the old saying goes, if you have a Hungarian for a friend, you don't need an enemy. Okay, what I get from this is watch the people around you on the daily. Watch for how you are interacting with your neighbors, your gas station attendant, the places that you go. Maybe you're enrolled in a local community class, or you have kids that are going to a summer program or something like that. There's something here that's like you might discover something unexpected about a person that you maybe thought was an ally, or you thought was just a neutral person in your daily life. That maybe there's some bad blood there, there's an argument coming up there, something comes up, you're not expecting it. So that's what this feels like to me, is that the way that it might show up for our Aries is that there's maybe some backstabbing or some argument that happens with a person you thought was maybe a friend, but is actually treating you with a little volatility. Their martial conflict stuff is coming out. And or maybe you're that person. Maybe you're the Hungarian in this story who is actually an enemy. So watch for that for our Aries. If you are a Taurus, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is taking place in your second house. This is a place of personal resources, which can be your time, your money, your skills, your energy, your possessions, your income, your actual money. And so this showing up in your second house, Mars-Uranus coming together in Gemini on the 3rd or 4th of July, this looks like it could be some unexpected shakeup having to do with your money, your possessions. Maybe there is a severing of your connection to some certain skills, to your money. An unexpected expense comes up that you were, not expecting, that throws you for a loop, that feels conflictual, that feels like a dynamic, unexpected, shocking, or the reverse could be true. Maybe you're suddenly having a freeing up, a cutting out of some obligations, perhaps a freeing up of your resources, your energy. Maybe you're being freed up of something that was draining a lot of your resources, your energy, your time, your emotional quotient of what you're able to give, something like that. So this could go either way for our Tauruses. Something shocking, unexpected, conflictual, or upsetting to do with your resources. Again, keeping in mind that's time, money, energy, skills, any of those things that resource you, food as well, or the freeing up of that, the release, the revolutionizing, the freeing up of something that has been draining your energy and your resources. So for our Tauruses, your bibliomancy pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut is this. Extenuating circumstance to be mentioned on Judgment Day. We never asked to be born in the first place. So what I get from this is maybe a little bit more towards that second option, the freeing up of responsibility or the freeing up of things that have been draining on your resources. Maybe you never asked, to be obligated. Okay, so this is just what's coming to my mind right now. Maybe you have been given something that you never asked for, and you have been being told over and over and over again that you ought to be grateful for it, that you ought to feel thankful for whatever you have been given, when maybe what you actually feel is like disappointment because it's something that now was given you that you need to like make something of and do something of, and you never wanted it in the first place. And what you really feel is like, I never wanted this, and now I've been saddled with the responsibility to resource it. So maybe this is your moment with this Mars-Uranus conjunction in your second house of being freed up from that thing that you never asked for, but now you're having to tend to. So that's what's coming up for my Tauruses. I hope this is positive for you, our Tauruses out there. If you are a Gemini, then this Mars-Uranus conjunction is taking place in your first house. This is the place of the self, the body, character development, psyche, personality, appearances. So, okay, watch for unexpected health news, perhaps maybe some breakthroughs around a plateau that you have reached with a physical fitness effort that you have been on or a journey you have been on. Do watch also for possibly pulled muscles, torn ligaments, things like that. You might be overdoing it and there's a sudden shocking, unexpected event that actually happens in your physicality, in your body. This can also work in your mind. Your character development is getting some shakeups, some unexpected things that are coming through. Maybe you're having a real argument that feels like it's out of the blue with your own self. Like, who am I becoming? What do I want to be? Who am I? Who am I? What is really important to me, to the path that I am on as a becoming individual? Right? So that could be coming up for our Geminis out there. And, Uranus just moved into your first house where it will be for the next 7 years. I think we have 4 of these conjunctions between Mars and Uranus in your first house over the next 7 years. So watch for this, for in particular our Geminis. What's coming up right now, and look for an ongoing, longer storyline of where these might be punctuation moments, breakthroughs around who you're becoming, around body development. Watch for overdoing it, watch for tearing those muscles, and that can be metaphorical too. Watch for tearing the muscles of your heart, your mind, your psyche, your personality that are evolving and developing also. So your bibliomancy pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut is this. I, too, went from déjà vu to unlimited opportunities in a series of actions that were continuous. An outside observer might have said, I exercised free will the instant it became available. Okay, so what I get from this is you are suddenly aware of your own free will. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? That's the kind of thing that this Mars-Uranus in your first house of self, of your personality and your character might look like the sudden awareness that you have free will, and that is metaphorical. This is a perspective shift. This is saying to me, our Geminis are going to have a massive perspective shift. What is available to you that you have agency around in your own life, in the way that you're becoming who you are becoming? This feels I have free will. I have agency. I can do something about the things that I'm not happy about, maybe. Or I can make the changes that I need to make. Or maybe some event comes in that shocks you, that maybe takes you down a little bit with the Mars-Uranus in your first, but that opens up your perspective to what you actually can do. What do you have will around in your own life for who you're becoming? I kind of like that. I kind of like that for our Geminis out there. It feels empowering in a sense to me. If you are a Cancer, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is taking place in your 12th house. This is a place of retreat, of isolation, of the subconscious mind, hidden things, the ways that we are undermined either by our own selves or from unseen actors, our blind spots. This is a place of the release of attachment from the ego, right? It's falling away from the first house of the self, the 12th is. And so it's a release of the ego from a release of the attachments from the ego, from the self, the subconscious realms. This could look like some event happening that is shocking, that forces you to retreat, that you will need to be alone. You will need to be able to process privately something. This could look like, I hate to say it, guys, and this won't be the case for everyone, obviously, but this could look like an accident that needs to send you to the hospital for a night or two, right? Because the 12th house is a place of isolation and places like hospitals and institutions and things like that. Or maybe something is going on where you just need to go visit someone in a hospital. That's possible too. Or some kind of retreats. In a lighter side, this could be a retreat, maybe some event or some shocking situation or thing that's going on with your mind, your mental health, the 12th house, and also Gemini being involved here, that you need a respite from the world. That's what I'm getting mostly with this Mars-Uranus in the 12th house, is like something that requires you to need alone time in some capacity. Your bibliomancy pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut is this. They must have held many meetings in which ethics as well as survival schemes were debated. Okay, what I get from this is that there might be overwhelm. There might be mental overwhelm where you are having meetings with your own self around what is the best way forward, the most ethical way, the most moral way, the ways that I am going to feel like I'm going to not only survive but thrive. This feels like there's going to be lots of overwhelm. And kind of intuitively, what I'm hearing here is that within your own mind, within your own subconscious, within your own subconscious patternings, there's going to be debates taking place around what you need to do to go forward in a way that feels moral, that feels ethical, that feels aligned with you. And that perhaps the best way to quiet all those different voices, quiet the overwhelm of what's going on in your mind, the debates going on within you personally, is release, relaxation, alone time, respite, retreat, that it's okay to take that. It's okay to take that. Remember, guys, by the way, the ruler of this conjunction, Mercury, is retrograde in your first house, Cancers. So it's okay. If you need to take 3 weeks, these 3 weeks while Mercury is retrograde in your first house, to retreat and isolate in order to quiet the debates that are in your own mind, in your own psyche, in your own subconscious about how to engage with the world in a way that feels morally and ethically and not only survive but thrive kind of way. Take this time. That's what I get for this for our Cancers. Retreat, tend to yourself in a quiet way. Quiet down the mind. You can do that. Lean into your emotions. You've got that. You've got that, Cancers. Okay, if you are a Leo, then this is taking place in your 11th house. This is a place of groups, friends, benefactors, networks, both social and professional. This is allies, and it's also a place of our most deeply held wishes and dreams for the future. Okay, arguments, shakeups within your networks, unexpected, shocking events happening to a friend, perhaps. Something going on with a dream that you long held for your future, having the rug pulled out from under it. Something, you're being severed. Mars is here, right? Severed from ideas that you maybe long held in terms of your dreams and wishes for the future. Something going on with your friends, your networks, maybe some shocking, liberating thing is coming in from a benefactor. That would be nice, right? A benefactor is deciding to fund your community nonprofit. That just is coming to mind too. That's possible with Mars Uranus in your 11th house of Gemini. So for you, your bibliomancy pool from Kurt Vonnegut's Timequake is this. If I'd wasted my time creating characters, Trout said, I would never have gotten around to calling attention to things that really matter. Irresistible forces in nature, and cruel inventions, and cockamamie ideals, and governments and economies that make heroes and heroines alike feel like something the cat drug in. This, to me, this feels like, okay, a call to action. I pulled these a couple of days ago and decided I would just kind of on the whim respond to them while recording. And so what this to me feels like a call to action that maybe more towards those hopes and wishes and dreams, right? Like Mars Uranus in your 11th house of networks and friends and benefactors and allies is saying, hey, don't waste your time on creating caricatures of what you think is important. There is real work that needs to be done. I don't know, this the nonprofit thing is coming to me again. There's real work that needs to be done in the world, in our dreams for what our future wants to look like. Don't waste your time getting, or maybe this, I don't know, this is coming to me too. Don't waste your time getting upset with a friend over some dumb argument that might come up that's out of nowhere, to do with the best way forward in your said nonprofit, in my analogy here. If you have a nonprofit that's working towards ending world hunger, I don't know, I'm being grandiose, and you have some argument with a coworker or a friend around the best way to do that, like that's a waste of time. Don't spend time getting mired down in the argument, in the Mars, in the conflict, right? Instead, let's focus on the issue at hand and let's figure out how to free the world's children from hunger, right? Uranus in the 11th house. So that's what this feels like to me, is kind of a call to action. Like, don't get mired down in making the caricature of the story or the presentation, the bow of the issue, the important thing. It's the issue that's the important thing. It's the 11th house dream that's the important thing. Let's find a way to free that up, to liberate, to come to a new genius perspective around that. That's what I've got for our Leos. If you are a Virgo, then this is taking place, Mars Uranus conjoining in your 10th house. This is a place of career, the public sector of your life, visibility, reputation, calling, and vocation. All right, guys, some of you might be losing a job, right? Some of you may be getting a job offer, an unexpected job offer. Some of you may be watching a boss or someone that you look up to going through a fall off of a pedestal, fall from grace. Some of you may be having something with your reputation that is suddenly liberating you, or maybe unexpectedly taking you down a notch. This is Uranus we're talking about. This is volatile. It's the unexpected. It's unpredictable. We don't know which way this is going to go. But something in your public life, your reputation, what you feel called to do, the work in the world that you feel called to do is getting a shakeup. There's maybe freeing quality to it. There's maybe conflictual, argumentative quality to it. Especially if you happen to be a day chart and Mars is your out of sect malefic, this might be a little bit tougher for you, or if you are in a Mars ruled year, something like that. If you have questions about that, put that in the comments. I'm happy to go into more detail about what I mean when I say that. But watch for some argument, some shakeup in your public life, the way you're showing up in the world as a whole. And your bibliomancy pull from Kurt Vonnegut's Timequake is this. Trout was the only appreciative audience he needed for what he was and did. And just for context here, Trout is an author. He is the only audience that he needs for himself, for his own work. That's what this is saying. Trout was the only appreciative audience he needed for what he was and did. Okay, so I like this. I like this for you, Virgos. With what we were just talking about a shakeup in your public sector, your job, your career, your vocation, your reputation, how you are seen and known in the world. What the oracle here says to me is, everyone else can go fly a kite. How you feel about what you do is what matters. There may be people whose opinions of you are bad, right? Maybe there's people who are trying to take you down a notch. Maybe there's people who say the work you do is shite. I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's what this is saying. You be your own audience. Get right with yourself so that you can feel aligned and good about the work that you're putting out there in the world, the way that you're showing up in the public sector. And let everybody else's opinion of you not be your business, right? That's the saying anyway. Someone else's opinion of me is not my business. So that's what I get here for our Virgos. You be your own audience. It's the only one that matters, at least in this moment. If you are a Libra, then the Mars-Uranus conjunction is taking place in your 9th house. This is a place of philosophies, ideologies, religion, and truth with the capital T, where you find and pursue meaning and truth. This can be something to do with mentors, teachers, gurus, or guides. This can be something to do with long-distance travel of the mind, figuratively, especially in Gemini, or literally, like taking a trip abroad, something like that. Why? Because these experiences of travel, of getting outside of your comfort zone, of being in foreign places, again, metaphorically or literally, is where we grow, where we are expanded upon, and our ideas of truth and morality and ideologies and philosophies can be expanded upon. These are all 9th house topics. So what might be showing up for our Libras with the Mars-Uranus conjunction in the 9th house? The sudden freeing up or conflict with a mentor, a teacher, a place of education, a source of ideologies, maybe a political ideology. You're suddenly like, I don't feel aligned with you anymore. With this thing that had guided me, this guiding life principle is falling apart, is getting a shakeup, is getting freed up too. Something to do with a trip abroad. Maybe you have this sudden opportunity to go abroad, to study the warrior culture of your ethnic background. I don't know, throwing that out there with Mars involved. Like maybe you're going to study the Japanese samurai culture. I don't know, and you're going to take a trip to Japan. That just came up right now as I'm babbling. But something to do with travel, long distance travel, your connection with your philosophies, ideologies, the pursuit of truth and meaning in your life is getting shaken up. Maybe you're having a come to Jesus moment around your belief systems or around a mentor. Maybe someone is falling off a pedestal for you that you have long admired or have looked to. Someone or some ideology, something like that, is falling off a pedestal with this transit taking place, Mars-Uranus in your 9th house, something to do with that. And for our Libras, our bibliomancy pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut is, that question remains for me one of my 3 favorite quotations. 2 of the 3 are questions rather than good advice of any kind. The second is Jesus Christ's, Who is it they say I am? Okay, Libras, with everything that we were just talking about the pursuit of meaning and truth and guiding life principles in the ninth house, two of the author's favorite quotations are questions. The second being, who is it they say I am? That was apparently said by Jesus Christ. Okay, so for you, Libras, whatever is coming up, whatever shakeup that's coming up within your belief systems, stay curious, stay open, keep asking the questions. And how Gemini is that in the ninth? That's like Gemini in the ninth. Something might be coming in that's cutting down something you thought you believed in, or a pursuit of education. You were all in. You were ready to go for that, right? And maybe it's something that's coming in, an event or some new information's coming in that's taking that belief system out cutting them off at the knees. Stay curious, keep asking the question. Go inward, ask the question, who am I? What do I believe? What is important to me? And if you do that, if you can stay in the question, if you can stay in the curiosity, you're going to weather this. And your beliefs, whatever they end up being, are going to come out stronger, right? Doubt is an essential part of almost every major world religion, right? We have to go through those times of doubt. And that's what I'm getting for our Libras. If you are going through some doubt, keep asking the questions and you'll be okay. Yeah. If you are a Scorpio, then Mars, Uranus are conjoining in your 8th house. This is a place of attachments, obligations, expectations that you have of others and that they have on you. This is a place of inheritances, debts, the ways that we are entangled and enmeshed with other people. This might also have to do with a partner's resources, if you are partnered in any way, business, romantic, client relationship, something like that, important one-on-one relationships, their resources. This is also a place of anxieties. So for our Scorpios out there, this might be the sudden need to take on a loan, take on some debt, or vice versa, the sudden freeing up of a debt. This could be something to do with death, metaphorically or literally. Perhaps an elderly relative has died and has left you something. This could be a moment of increased anxiety around resources or shared resources, or the ways that you are obligated to other people or that they are obligated to you. There might be, sorry, Scorpios, but this might be a moment of kind of like a little bit of a breakdown around the obligations that you have towards other people. A real irritation or aggravation. Mars is your ruler, Scorpios, your ascendant ruler. And Mars activating this place of anxieties or obligations. This could feel personal, like you are being tasked with either too much, taking on too much responsibility, or really, hopefully, the opposite. You're being freed up of obligations and responsibilities and other people's expectations. For your bibliomancy pool from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut, it is this. My sister Allie, in real life, which for her lasted only 41 years, God rest her soul, thought falling down was one of the funniest things people could do. I don't mean people who fell on account of strokes or heart attacks or snapped hamstrings or whatever. I'm talking about people 10 years old or older, of any race and either sex, and in reasonably good physical condition, who on a day like any other, all of a sudden, fell down. Okay, so what I'm getting for this, Scorpios, is if you or somebody you know falls down, literally has a silly fall, which would be unexpected Mars, Uranus, Mars coming together. Unexpected fall, literally or metaphorically. If you yourself are having an unexpected fall, try to find the humor in it. try to find levity. Try to find a way that you can laugh about it. Don't laugh at other people, please. Let's be kind if we can, if they fall down. But try to see the absurdity in the person falling, either yourself, like a healthy, able-bodied person falling unexpectedly, like, or yourself. And I'm thinking mostly metaphorical here, right, guys? But don't take it personally. Okay, this is what's coming up for me intuitively. Don't take it personally, right? It's not the world, and Scorpios, I love you, but sometimes you feel like the world is out to get you. It's not the world out to get you. Sometimes we just trip on a tree branch and we fall, right? And you can laugh about it. It's absurd. Everybody falls down sometimes. It's not because you did something wrong or because you are falling short of your obligations or anything like that. You know, all of that stuff we talked about, 8th house. It's nothing personal. Sometimes accidents just happen. Try to get out of your of feeling like the world is out to get you, and instead find some humor in it. Kind of try to laugh about it. I don't know if it's happening for you or someone else, you know, like the shared resources part, or partner's resources. If your partner is falling down, please don't laugh at them. Be kind, but help them to see it's not anything personal. Maybe put out a hand, help them to stand up, and then together you can laugh about it, right? With each other, not at each other. Okay, so that's what I've got for our Scorpios. If you are a Sagittarius, then Mars-Uranus is conjoining in your 7th house. This is your place of one-on-one relationships, your primary partners, the one-on-one best friends, business partners, romantic partners, spouses, clients if you work on one-on-one client basis. All of these things are in your 7th house. Okay, guys, some of our Sagittariuses might be going through a breakup. That's very possible with Mars-Uranus in the 7th house, particularly if it's been in a relationship that you have known for a while has been on the rocks. For some of you, this might come out of the blue, be totally shocking. Conversely, this could be the sudden freeing up of maybe something that was stuck in a relationship. Maybe all of a sudden you are coming to a new perspective with each other that frees you up, that gives you more liberation, that has you each coming to the relationship with more perspective, with more flexibility, with more a new kind of genius way of approaching an old problem that you've got. That could certainly be happening here as well. Don't be surprised if you feel like nothing's going on for you personally, but then you're watching a friend or partner, a close one-on-one relationship. They're going through the muck, right? Something is happening for them. A partner is having something with their career that's going on, or a partner is having an accident or dealing with something, and you feel fine, but you're having to watch them go through something. That's possible too with Mars-Uranus in the 7th house. So watch for relationships, shakeups, unexpected, either freeing or conflictual with your primary one-on-one relationships. So for our Sagittariuses, your bibliomancy pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut is this. People in Europe and Africa and Asia were in darkness when free will kicked in. Most of them were in bed or sitting down somewhere. Not nearly as many of them fell down in their hemisphere as fell down in ours, where a clear majority was wide awake. Okay, so what I get from this is it feels to me like this is saying one or the other of you is going to be going through something, and the other person is going to have a hard time understanding that perspective. One or the other of you, and this again, if you're single, you're not partnered, we all have important relationships in our life, whether or not they're romantic. This is all important one-on-one relationships, right? One or the other of you has something going on that the other person is experiencing very differently. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. And the important thing to try to do in this case, if it's you that's going through it, is having the unexpected event, is try to communicate it as best you can to your partner what you're going through, even if they can't quite understand or they don't quite see it. what you're going through and try not to judge them if they are insensitive to what you're going through, because they're having a very different experience of it, and vice versa. If your partner is going through something, someone important in your life is going through something, and you're having trouble empathizing because your experience of the situation is so different from theirs, try to meet them where they are. Try to put yourself in their shoes. I think all relationships for our Sagittariuses during this conjunction of Mars-Uranus in the 7th could benefit from trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes, both sides, all sides, right? So that's what I've got from this poll from Timequake for Sagittariuses. Try to walk in their shoes and ask them to do the same for you, because you deserve it, yeah? If you are a Capricorn, then Mars-Uranus is conjoining in your 6th house. This is a place of effort, of daily toil, of misfortune, our daily habits, our pets, the ways that we give and sacrifice of ourselves. Okay, Mars-Uranus coming together in the 6th house. Sorry, Cappies, but an unexpected health event. Something with inflammation is coming up with me for Capricorns because of Mars. Mars is inflammatory. Something perhaps with the nervous system or the circulatory system because of Gemini being an air sign might be coming up. Maybe you're getting the freeing up of a diagnosis of something that has been going on. You get the diagnosis, and that allows, Uranus, the unexpected news. Gemini, you get the diagnosis that allows for a treatment plan. If it's not to do with health, maybe something's coming up with a pet. Take care of your pets, right? 6th house. Maybe you're having some new perspective, freeing up some ideas around your daily effort. Do you have to be doing all of that? Maybe you're cutting out, Mars cutting. You're cutting out with new genius idea ways that you're cutting out your self-sacrificing, cutting out your efforts on the daily. Maybe it's time for you to say, my sweet little Capricorn self that always does it all and can handle it all and always is capable. Maybe you need to say, it's time for me to cut out some of the ways that I'm giving to others, that I'm taking care of everyone else's incapacity, lack of capacity, lack of ability, right? So this could be happening too for our Capricorns. The release of the need to give so much, to put in so much effort all the time. So that could be coming up for Capricorns too. Your bibliomancy pull from Kurt Vonnegut's Timequake is this. Trout harped on the human need for extended families, and I still do, because it is so obvious that we, because we are human, need them, as much as we need proteins and carbohydrates and fats and vitamins and essential minerals. Okay, Capricorns, I think what I'm getting from this is what I was just saying. You don't have to do it all yourself. In fact, you can't do it all yourself. If something is coming up that feels like it's taking out your ability to do it all for everyone all the time, that's okay. You let that happen. It's okay. You can hand off the mantle of responsibility every once in a while. If something is coming up in your 6th house, all of a sudden you've got a sick pet that you need to care for and you can't take care of your obligations at work, it's okay to ask somebody else to pick up your slack for this month or these few weeks, right? Because we need other people. We're not solitary creatures. We can't do it all ourselves all the time. It's okay. Cappies, you can do it. You can let someone help you. You can be a part of the human family and let someone help you, especially when something, some unexpected shock is coming up in the 6th house. Yeah. We're part of the human body, and you can accept the help. We need the other people just as much as we need our nutrients, right? If you are an Aquarius, then Mars and Uranus are coming together in your 5th house. This is a place of joy, pleasure, creativity, self-expression, and children. This is the place of romance and play, and the joy that naturally emanates from you when you feel like you are living in alignment with your core self, your core purpose and identity. So this could be a breakthrough idea around a new way that you want to express yourself or a new creative project that you want to engage in. This could be something coming up with a child. If you are a parent, maybe they're having a breakthrough. Maybe a child is going through a rough time, and with their identity, with their sense of joy and pleasure, how can you support them in that? How can you support your own need for joy and creativity and pleasure? What conflict is coming up in, romance, the romance in your life? Are you having unexpected shocks with a person that you've just started dating? Ooh, this could be exciting. Maybe this is the time for a little kink for you, Aquariuses, in the, Mars, the planet of passion, coming together with Uranus, the kind of eccentric planet in your house of pleasure and creativity. Maybe you're stepping outside of some inhibitions that you've had around what brings you pleasure. So that actually feels pretty exciting. But do watch for maybe something with a child that's challenging. If you have adult children, is there a relationship that needs some mending? There might be some conflict within. That's possible too. So conflict, unexpected, or freeing up exciting ideas to do with your creativity, your joy, your self-expression coming up for our Aquariuses. Your bibliomancy pull from Kurt Vonnegut's Timequake is this. Up there in the sky, all alone, they felt like the boss god himself, who had an option which hadn't been theirs before, which was to be merciful. Aquariuses, sometimes with Aquarius, I'm totally stereotyping here, but Aquariuses are so smart often. They're kind of like the smarty pants of the zodiac, right? They're forward thinking, futuristic. They are idealistic. Sometimes Aquariuses can get a little stuck in their own dogma. They know, truly know, and can see the best way forward for a situation, for society, for an individual. And when the messiness of human life comes in and falls short of that ideal that the Aquarian can hold and can see and wants to strive towards, there can be some real disappointment and maybe a little bit of rigidity around allowing being flexible in allowing that messiness. So if something is coming up in your pleasure realms with a child, with the ways that you're wanting to create, with the ways that you're wanting to engage with romance, if something is coming up that is falling a little short of some ideal that is causing conflict with a romantic partner around their idealism, like your sense of idealized what it should look like, what just came to me is, if you are being too hard on yourself around your own creative output, be merciful. Find mercy. Be merciful for the imperfections, for the shocking, unexpected, maybe ugliness of this transit within your creative output or within someone else's connection to pleasure. Find some mercy within your heart. Allow some flexibility with the way that you engage with your sense of pleasure, and a little bit of forgiveness for the ways that that your creative output or your idealized shoulds around joy are not living up to what you hoped they would be or what they promised they would be. A little convoluted, but that's what's coming up for me for Aquariuses. If you are a Pisces, then Mars and Uranus is conjoining in your 4th house. This is a place of home, family, roots, foundation, property, and private life. Who you are when you can retreat from the world behind closed doors at the end of the day. Okay, so this is me, and I'll just share anecdotally. As I am recording this, I am dealing with all sorts of stuff with our actual property, evidence of water damage. We had a plumber out. We thought we fixed it. It's still, we're going to have to open up ceilings and floors and find the source of this leak. So that's my Mars Uranus and my 4th house story. shakeups, something unexpected with a parent, with property, with something you're learning, some freeing information that you're learning that's kind of shaking you up around your ancestry, the ways that you're connected and rooted in this world, something getting shaken up, challenges, conflict with a parent, something like that is possible too. Anything with the home, with the foundations of your home or property. Like for me, I feel like this whole thing, and I gotta say, guys, I discovered the evidence of the water damage the day in April that Uranus moved into Gemini, and I was like, oh, no. This is a can of worms that is being opened up. Something like that. Home, family, roots, property, conflict, aggression, things being shaken up, or maybe freed and liberated too, with Uranus involved here. So for our Pisces, your bibliomancy pull from Timequake by Kurt Vonnegut is this. What we have created instead as customers and employees and investors is mountains of paper wealth, so enormous that a handful of people in charge of them can take millions and billions for themselves without hurting anyone, apparently. Many members of my generation are disappointed. I'm sorry, Pisces, but what I hear here is the foundations that we have relied upon maybe are made of paper and they're not worth anything. Maybe the paper money at the roots of our lives has been oversold, and it's coming clear that there's really no value to it. Ooh, gosh, this is like a bitter pill I'm swallowing right now, but something in the foundation of your life, in the roots, is coming clear that maybe it's like I'm thinking of a house that's built on sand, right? It's like it's built on sand. Something in the foundation of your life, you're realizing that it's not on bedrock, it's on sand, and it's kind of coming apart a little bit at the seams. That's what I get from this. And I'm going to try to take this advice too. But if you're realizing that what's underneath your feet is not stone, but is sand, is shale that's crumbling, don't try to fight it. Don't try to fight it. Let it fall apart. Let it fall apart. And it's only when we can get to the bottom, it's only when I can figure out the frickin' source of this leak in my house that we can fix it, that we can rebuild it, right? We can repair and rebuild on the castle made of stone, right? On the bedrock with a solid foundation. But sometimes you gotta let it go. You gotta let the sand and the shaky foundation fall. I hope it's not too dramatic for you out there. Maybe it'll just be something super simple like your dishwasher or your electricity in your house goes haywire, and it causes a little bit of inconvenience, but it's no big deal, right? Could just be something as simple as that too. Hang in there, Pisces. You got Uranus here for 7 years. And by the end, hopefully, you're going to feel so free and liberated, yeah? So that is what I've got for you. We made it all the way through, all 12 signs. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. July is a big, big month, but remember that Mercury is retrograde for most of it. And if you need to just retreat, take care of yourself, nourish yourself for a little bit, as I am going to do with stepping back from content creation for the next 3 weeks, it's okay. Go ahead and do that. Sometimes, especially if the astrology that we've all been talking about for the month of July promises to show up in the world as it has been, as we've been expecting it, the stuff out there in the world might be loud, might be overwhelming, and it's okay. I'm not advocating put your head in the sand, but it is okay to give yourself time to reflect so that you can respond rather than react, right? Because this conjunction of Mars and Uranus feels quite reactionary. And the reason, as I said back at the beginning, the reason I'm sharing that I'm taking this break, that I'm choosing to listen to the cosmic tides that are telling me to rest, to step back, is so that we can be empowered to respond rather than react. So if you need to take that time, you do that. You don't need my permission, of course, but I'm giving it to you anyway. Thanks for being with me. Please do like, subscribe, comment, share. I love all of that. I appreciate all of that. While I'm on a content creation break for the next 3 weeks, I am still seeing clients. If you would like to come and see me, I would be honored to connect with you. You can go to emilytotomer.com if you'd like to book a reading with me. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, and I will see you in a few weeks.